Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode on Cut Rate History. Today, I wanted to get into that firearms content that we've been talking about bringing you guys, and I want to start that with one of my favorite guns. It's a Remington Rand 1911A1 that is essentially a parts kit build, and I'm just going to go through what that looks like, the kind of parts you may or may not need, and a really cool company that makes good quality reproduction parts. So this begins when I bought this gun right here from a Vietnam veteran. He told me that this was his service sidearm and he smuggled it home. He stole it. And then in the 80s and the 90s, he used it to shoot competition, which is why it has all of these heinous uh, changes. So you can see it has like some weird, like braised on extended beaver tail. It has some god awful adjustable rear sight and then a replacement high rise front sight to go with that. Gross. It also has some stippling on the front that looks like it was done by hand there on the front strap. Maybe with an electro pencil. I I don't know. Um, Not a fan. I wanted to get it back to GI condition. I wanted to have it as both a shooter, but also to like a genuine piece of history to have in the collection. And then upon taking it apart, I found a couple more problems. On the right, you can see the barrel that came in that gun. Less than ideal. You can see it was probably blued at some point, but then was shot so much that the finish came off um, forward of the chamber and the locking lugs there. My guess is that this was a replacement barrel, anyways, because this barrel should have been phosphated from the factory, not blued. But anything happens in post-war arsenals, stuff like that. So who knows? But you can see there where the swinging link attaches, there was some kind of damage, and it looks like it was repaired using brazing. So I wasn't thrilled about that. So I got a new barrel. I got new sights put in. I got a new grip safety. Got all that stuff. There wasn't really anything I could do about the front strap there, but I did everything I could and got it into basically this condition here. And kept it like this for a long time. Shot the heck out of it. Carried it. Was great. And I lived in a band state at the time, and there was some looming legislation that was going to heavily, even further, restrict semi-auto rifles. And I was really hot and bothered for some flavor of civilian M14 at the time because my grandfather was in Vietnam. He was one of the first groups of force recon ever. And he had an M14, and he also tried to smuggle that home, unsuccessfully though. But he got some of the parts. He got like the stock and the magazines and the sling swivels and a couple of small parts like that. No barreled receiver, unfortunately. Anyways, so I had those parts, and I wanted to basically rebuild some flavor of M1A with his parts before that legislation made it illegal. So, long story short, a friend of a friend found out I had this gun here. He had a Federal Ordnance M14A, which is just another kind of M1A, basically. It's just another company. They used all USGI parts, which is really cool. Anyways, he had that, and he also had a complete upper, a barreled slide from, I don't remember if it was a Remington Rand or not, but some flavor of World War II produced 1911, and he wanted a World War II produced frame for that to go with. I think he had it on a Springfield frame at the time. So he offered to trade me that M14A with, the magazines and the sling and the bayonet and, the whole shooting match. The whole thing just for the frame of my gun. And with that legislation at the time, I made that deal. So now I'm in the same position he was, basically. I have what is essentially a slide, Remington Rand slide with a couple of other original parts that I got to put on some kind of frame here to keep. I need a full gun. So I came across this company called Tisas. If you're not familiar, they're a Turkish manufacturer who they make a very high quality gun. To be completely honest, I want to throw this out there. I am not sponsored by them, although if they're listening, I'm not against that. However, um, they make a great gun. All forged slides, forged frames, forged internals, no cast parts, no MIM parts. They're fantastic guns. They make all kinds. They're not all reproductions like this. They make very modern stuff. They do double stacks. They do all kinds of stuff. And they're just great. And they're very, very competitively priced. I think MSRP on this guy here, the ASF, the American Servants Family, is like 500 and change. You can regularly find them on sale online for sub $400. I mean, it's incredible. It's incredible the quality you get for the price. It pains me to say this, but these blow new production Colts out of the water. I mean, they are so much better fit, so much better parts. Colt under CZ is not doing well. Story for a different time. Anyways, so I got one of these guys, and basically put my Remington Rand parts on it. There's a couple of problems with the Tisas, and they're not really problems; they're just historical inaccuracies. So the first one is if you look back here, the stocks that come on these gun, the grips, they're the double diamond wooden kind, which is like that's a pre A1 feature. The which is not a huge deal because it comes with the correct ones, those uh, brown plastic checkered ones, the ones you see on the gun here. It comes with those in the box, so you can just swap them on. You get to pick. So honestly, not a huge deal at all. It comes with you get to pick. You get to choose whichever one you want. The other very small, nitpicky, nerdy difference is the front sight. So I have these side by sides here. The slide that's on the bottom on the gun is the original Remington Rand slide. The one that's on the top is the Tisas slide. And if you look at the front sight, the Tisas slide is like this half round, half moon shape, and the bottom one is like a shark fin shape. The half round shape is again a pre A1 feature. They moved to the shark fin shape for the A1, and then they put some serrations on it on the shooter slide to get rid of some of the glare. But honestly, that's a really, really small, nitpicky detail. And most people won't notice it unless you're a giant nerd like me. So these guns are fantastic. They even have the right markings. So on the right here, I know it's a crappy picture. I didn't take a lot of pictures of the original gun before I made a bunch of changes to it because it was so ugly. So this is the best picture I have of the markings on that gun. But you can still make them out. Still, it says United States property, M1911A1, U.S. Army. And then comparatively on the left, we have the TSAS markings, which are nigh identical. They are very, very close. They're perfect for reproduction. The only difference is you can see the serial number on the right, the original U.S. gun. The serial number's in a different spot on the TSAS frame, but who cares about that? I certainly don't care. Um, they're great guns. So I put all of my Remington Rand parts, my Remington Rand upper, basically the Remington Rand stocks, the miscellaneous stuff I had left over after that trade, and was left with a gun that is in this condition now. This is how it sits on my wall, and it's fantastic. I did a little bit of like fake wear on some of the lines just to match the Remington slide because the new frame it was noticeably different. So I did a little very high grit light sandpaper just to give it the illusion of having some wear. But other than that, it's great. You can see a little idiot mark on the Remington Rand markings on the side. Um, but it's a fantastic gun. I didn't have to do any fitting to fit either the Tisas barrel in the Remington Rand slide or the entire upper assembly onto the Tisas frame. Both went on zero fitting. They're made to very high specs. They're the original Colt specs. Um, they're great guns, and this is my parts kit build. I love this gun because it has all of the right looks and the right markings, which I never thought I'd be a marking guy, but turns out I'm a bigger nerd than even I thought. I love that I got to keep my Remington Rand slide because that's the other thing that the TSAS is missing. It doesn't say anything on the slide. They're blank slides. They can't put somebody else's name on it, you know. Um, so it is missing that as well. I'm very happy that mine says, Remington Rand Inc., Syracuse, New York. Um, and I love that. I also love that basically everything less the slide is new. So I don't have to worry about shooting this old relic. Like, is it a fully original gun? Should you not shoot it to keep it? Are you going to devalue it by shooting it basically? So I don't have to worry about that. I get to shoot the crap out of this gun, which I do. It functions flawlessly. So I get a shooter that looks the part, and I don't have to worry about hurting something that would be worth money if I didn't shoot it. So that's all. This is going to be a first in a series we do on a couple 1911s. I'm in the process of doing a World War One build right now, and I think that will probably be next unless something changes. But thanks for coming out. Let me know what you guys think of this kind of content. I did it in pictures and not in a video, basically because YouTube is weird about like gunsmithing, and I didn't want to be like taking the gun apart on camera and then them yelling at me for that. Forgotten Weapons gets away with it, but I've seen other people get copyright strikes for taking guns apart and they think it's gunsmithing. So I figured I'm just not going to touch it at all, at least for now. But let me know what you guys think. Do you like this kind of content? Do you want to see more of it? Like, subscribe, all that stuff, and we'll catch you in the next one.